That night, it was 2 a.m. Someone knocked on the front door. Twice. Knock, knock. Every time I opened the door, the hallway was empty. Until one night, it wasn't empty. This story begins in that apartment. This story is not something I experienced myself, but it's something I heard from someone I know, and somehow it stayed in my mind for a long time. There are nights when it suddenly comes back to me, so today I'll tell it to you as if it had happened to me. This story begins in an old apartment. It had been about a week since I moved in. That night, at 2 a.m., someone knocked on my door. Twice. Knock, knock. I opened the door, but the hallway was empty. At that moment, I thought it was just a one-time thing, but that knocking didn't stop. I moved into that apartment in late autumn. I needed to be closer to work. I had been working late almost every day. At that point, my home was just a place to sleep, so I didn't think too much when choosing it. Close to the subway, affordable rent, and quiet surroundings. That was enough. That's how I ended up in that apartment. It was an old building. The exterior was worn down. The hallway lights were dim, but inside, it was cleaner than I expected. There were barely any signs of the previous tenant. The real estate agent told me this. This building is old, but people tend to stay for a long time. And then, they added, at night, it gets really quiet. At the time, I didn't understand why that stayed in my mind. The first day was exhausting. Moving boxes, arranging furniture, unpacking everything. Before I knew it, it was already late. I was completely drained. So I took a quick shower and went straight to bed. I fell asleep almost instantly. I don't know how long I slept, but suddenly I woke up to a faint sound. Knock, knock. Someone was knocking on my door. At first I thought I imagined it, so I closed my eyes again. But then, knock, knock. This time, I was sure. I checked my phone. 2 a.m. Who would knock at this hour? I stayed still for a moment. Maybe it was someone else's door. But then, knock, knock. This time, it was definitely my door. Slowly, I got up and walked toward the door. The apartment was silent. The only sound was the faint hum of the refrigerator. Standing in front of the door, my heart started beating a little faster. I don't know why, but I didn't want to open it right away. So instead, I looked through the door lens, but the hallway was empty. No one by the elevator, no one near the stairs. I stood there for a moment, then told myself I must have imagined it, and I went back to my room. That was the first time. The next night, it happened again. 2 a.m. knock, knock. The same sound, the same 2 knocks. This time, I woke up immediately. I walked toward the door. Slowly, I looked through the lens, but again, no one was there. After that, the sound never stopped. Sometimes, every other night. Sometimes, every single night. But always at 2 a.m. Knock, knock. One night, as soon as I heard it, I opened the door immediately. But the hallway was empty, completely silent. Nothing. One night, while looking through the lens, I noticed something strange. From the direction of the elevator, there were wet footprints. At first, I thought I was mistaken, but the marks were clearly there. They stretched across the hallway, and they were getting closer. One step, then another, and another. Wet footprints, slowly, approaching my door, as if someone was walking toward me, and then they stopped, right in front of my door. In that moment, A chill ran down my spine. Still, I felt like I had to check, slowly. I opened the door. The door creaked open, but no one was there. Only the wet footprints remained. A few days later, I spoke with an elderly resident at the apartment playground. They had lived there for a long time, so carefully, I asked them if anything had ever happened in this building. They paused for a moment, then said a family used to live there, a couple and their daughter, but something was strange about them. At night, people could hear a child crying and footsteps in the hallway. The police came a few times, an ambulance too, once, and then one day, they were gone. No one knows if they moved away or if something happened. The moment I heard that, I remembered the footprints in front of my door. Eventually, I decided to move out. Until moving day, I stayed at a friend's place. The day before leaving, I returned to the apartment one last time while packing. Time passed quickly. I looked at the clock, 1:58 a.m., and then, the moment it turned 2 a.m., knock, knock. The sound was louder than ever before, clear, sharp, too close, right outside my door. Part 9. The child, slowly. I lifted my head, and then, at the end of the hallway, there was a child, standing there, wet hair, bare feet, and behind them, those same footprints. The child just stood there, staring at me, without moving, without blinking. And then, very quietly, they spoke, "Can I come inside?" That night, I couldn't move. I couldn't answer. I just stood there, frozen. And at some point, the child was gone. But somehow, it felt like it never really left me. Even now, sometimes, I think about it. That night, that moment, and one question keeps coming back. If I had opened the door, would I still be here, right now?
If this story left you wondering, the next one is waiting for you. Subscribe and stay with us.